All right, hi everyone. Hi everyone. um, I'm Jaina Baumgartner, your host for the Sitecore Summit series. And today our awesome topic is a live demo of Content Hub. And with me, I have Caridad. Caridad, I don't want to butcher your last name. I should have probably asked you before this how to pronounce it. So I'm just going to say you're just going to be known as Caridad. All right, cool. So Caridad, you are a product specialist at Sitecore, and you're going to give us an awesome demo today that I'm sure all of our audience is very excited about. But could you start out by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your role at Sitecore?
Absolutely. So my name is Caridad. My last name is Bojorquez.
Bojorquez. All right.
Bojorquez, yes. So I am a product specialist for the North America region of Sitecore. So what that means is that my focus is really on Content Hub, and I come in the pre-sale cycle, from RFP through basically if we get tech selected, to support on deals that our sellers and solution engineers are working on. And so it's basically adding if you think about a demo cycle, you have sort of the overview, and then you kind of go into those layers of functionality, technical capabilities, and general business knowledge and expertise, right? And so that's where I come in, is on one of those deeper levels to support our pre-sales opportunities.
That's awesome. And you have a super impressive background. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and I'm so impressed by some of the places that you've worked at, like Time and Brooklyn Historical Society. I'd love for you to elaborate on your background. And I know when we were chatting earlier, you had some great insights that can help this conversation. So I'd love to hear about your background and the insights that you bring.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know me, and for obviously everyone here, I have a visual arts background. So I went to an art school. I have a BFA in photography. But when really it was the foundation of thinking critically and creatively. And so I have leveraged that to essentially impart some level of creativity and information management in all my roles, right? So as part of an innate process of creativity and photography in particular is organization, having to find that material. And as I was working my way through different jobs, from photography assistant to graphic design, I found myself frequently just, not only developing or managing content, but also restructuring how people could find it better. Yeah. So I leveraged, I took the next step forward, and I went into library and information science school with a concentration in archives. And that's ultimately how I ended up touching upon all these different institutions, because I started to realize, whether it was an academic institution, creative, or a business, those fundamental concepts don't change, right? You have content or documents or something that you need to be able to find to some degree. And then the last position I had is really where I had that experience of implementing a solution. So from the creative sort of creating grunt work, data management, all that, I forayed into the implementation and functional implementation of an application for an organization. But I always had that fundamental interest specifically in asset management, DAMs. And how I came to be at Sitecore is, kind of a marriage of both that experience and training and my love for the ability of, again, being creative and problem solving creatively, but also having a strong information foundation that supports it.
That's awesome. I love that, our audience, the struggles that they may be facing with content management and asset management, you bring those, you've experienced those yourselves, and you bring your expertise to the table when you're thinking about, how Content Hub fits into the picture.
Absolutely. I have flashbacks sometimes, to be candid. But it's always interesting because I think one of the key things that I've seen happen in the last few decades that I've just been working different jobs is that you see the value of information and creative content being put at the forefront of what an organization does. And so I think it's not a surprise that we live in a content first universe, right? Where things are created and they're, pushed out as quickly as possible. So I don't, none of this is a surprise to me. You could see this coming. And having been through a lot of those situations myself, when you're in a sales cycle, you're asking a customer to trust you, right? And there's no better way to impart the fact that they can trust us by saying we've walked the walk, right, with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get into the meat of our conversation. The last time we introduced Content Hub and helped our audience make a case for Content Hub, today we're going to go one level deeper. I wouldn't say by any means it's a deep dive because Content Hub has so much to it. But I know that you're going to talk about two of the components and actually show us two of the components of Sitecore Content Hub. But before we do that, Sitecore Content Hub has 5 modules. So could you just give us a quick overview of those 5 modules and the 2 that we'll be focusing on?
Absolutely. Can you see my screen?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So Content Hub is actually composed of, it's actually 6. I realize I left one out just because it's so new, but it's made up of multiple components, and these are organically developed solutions. If you were in the session with Corey, which is the previous session, she touched upon these and how they basically work together and how they were developed, organically under this one platform. And so asset management, digital asset management, and product content management, which are the first and the 4th sort of modules or pillars that you see here, actually go hand in hand. So that comes back to the idea that information and how you kind of organize your content, those things aren't separated from each other. Those things are innately tied together, and that's the foundation of Content Hub. In addition to that, we have multiple pieces of functionality that facilitate the process of content and information management. So you have marketing resource management or projects and workflows. Now this has to do more with timelines, budgets, resources, and works that are in progress, right? A key kind of Content Hub functionality is the fact that there's some type of workflow governance for anything that revolves around the creation of content. Marketing resource management is just, one layer deeper with some of that, tasks and budgets, as I mentioned before. The 2 that we will be focusing on today are the editorial, or also known as a content marketing platform. And so this is around the creation of text-based content. So if you think about blogs or social posts, some people create research, research papers, things like that. Any kind of content type that is revolving around text with assets or products or any type of material that you're developing that gets reused across channels, right? So your website, your social media, your email campaigns. This is yet another layer where you bring those things together. And web to print, sorry. There we go. And web to print is really, if you think about all the other kind of pieces of it, they're around content, planning, management, collaboration, and really the orchestration of the content. Web to print focuses on the other side of the coin, which is delivery. And so think of it as a way for users who may not be graphic designers or people who create templates for visual templates. This is a way for them to create something that's customized to whatever their needs are, but leveraging branded approved templates and imagery. And so the customization and what they're able to change is really determined by the designer of the templates.
Yeah, I actually love that the 2 that we're going to talk about today are, because everyone, when they first think of Content Hub, they think of DAM, and Content Hub is so much more than DAM, right? DAM is one small piece of Content Hub. And I love that today we're going to focus on 2 areas that are not DAM, so people can see what else Content Hub can do and why it is this full picture of content.
Exactly. If you think about, again, if you think about just the evolution of a lot of programs, there's so much expectation around what something can do, right? Some things are table stakes, but really when we talk to customers, it's not about, well, what features do you want? It's about what are you looking to accomplish?
Right.
And so when we think about the offerings, it's, we really try to stay away from acronyms and solutions, and we really think about the problem and which aspects of Content Hub fit that issue best, right? Can solve for that issue.
Great.
So,
all right.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Jaina.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get into the demo.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool.
So now I have to share a new screen. Create new share. All right. Let me know if you could see.
Yes, I can see it.
Environment.
Looks great.
Here's a sample environment with a ton of tabs open. And the reason for that is because I want to just kind of hit some key points, right? Some kind of key areas of the platform. If you'd like to see just the full breadth of this, certainly reach out to us, reach out to Jaina and everyone at RDA, and we'll give you the full flavor of what this is. But this happens to be an example Content Hub website. And so it's a configuration first approach. This happens to have basically all the modules enabled or all the licenses enabled. And so right now in this demo, we're going to focus on two key areas, which is a content area, which you'll see here. And again, that's around editorial pieces of text that may have images related. And then we'll also look at the web to print functionality, which is split up into kind of two areas. It's the one that everyone accesses, which is publications. And then there's the administrative area, which is the templates where you design them. And it's important to note that because Content Hub is on a principle of least privilege, not everybody's going to see all these screens, right? Those are things that actually are informed by the business decisions. So everything is permissions based. So not just content and assets, but what you can see, what you could do, what workspaces you can access. A very important concept of editorial planning that I think people don't think about when they're, when you're developing this content is a concept of ideation, right? It's about forming those ideas. And so when this part of the solution was developed, there is an idea space. And so this is simply an area where you can, it's the same thing as sketching in a notepad or scribbling something down during a meeting where you brainstorm and you have those ideas. It's one way to start the process within the tool. And whether you are, you have it fully formed or whether you just have some concepts and some ideas, you'll see here that we have a variety of content types and we have a variety of audiences that we're looking to target and we have regions that we're looking to target, right? So whether this is fully formed or whether it's simply just the key points for what you want to develop, the idea is here from the beginning. And that's an important piece of the process because at this point, it has a workflow associated to it. And all we need to think about as, depending on our role, is whether we want to submit it for approval, right? Yeah. And someone who is in the approver role, all they have to think about is, do I want to fully form this or do I want to reject this for another time, right? And that's an example of one workflow. Wow. And so if this gets approved, then all of a sudden it has a new workflow and we have to now do this piece of content, right? And so ideation is really that first step and it leads into the rest of what you're looking to do. And it's important to note that these steps are simply examples. And so every business has a different workflow of what the ideation process is and what the actual content creation process is. So you can configure these based off of your business. And if you add other solutions, like for example, our project management, then this suddenly becomes dictated by, again, tasks, project timelines, due dates, and budgets, right? Yeah. So that's,
yeah, I love that this starts from a thought, right? Like an idea is a thought.
Exactly.
It's not just fully formed content, but it's really that collaboration space. And also, by the way, I want a mimosa.
I would love one. So ideation, it's an important step. And I think a lot of times when people work with systems like this, they think, okay, the content is done. I just need to catalog it and put it away. Here we're flipping the switch, right? We're saying, no, start from the beginning and then move it through that process of content development. And as these things start to get versioned or localized in a different language, or you end up adapting it for a different market, again, you can start from that central repository and you have all those iterations there. The next area I just really want to touch on is the ability to search. And so all those screens that you see here are configurable, and all of these things are in fact text-based items that have images associated with them, and they're not duplicated from from any other system. They're actually within the Content Hub repository. So again, you're using one system to join text and imagery together. And you're also tying it to your product information. And so when you see brands and categories here, those aren't things that are being individually assigned per se, but when you relate something to a product or a service, that information becomes inherited, right? And so this comes back to the idea of information management. It's about finding the right layer of the information that makes sense for you, and then associating it so that content and assets don't have to be individually tagged each time. They inherit those things by virtue of the relationships that are established. So if that brand changes over time, if fruitful is now super fruitful, you don't have to go in and retag all those individual things. Those automatically get updated with that information.
Cool. Caridad, I don't want to rush you, but I know that you really wanted to show us web to print as well. So yes. Cool. Is this? So, yeah, awesome.
So when we think about content, so the ideation process, again, this is about collaborating and managing. Web to print is really about taking that, as I mentioned before, taking that end material and developing a template out of it, making it so that your end users can customize it the way they want, right? And so this is an example of what an end user might look at. So when they're creating a new publication, they hit here. And this is actually where an administrator, a template administrator would, upload and configure those templates here. So I created one for us because I submitted my headshot a little late in the game. And so you'll see here that I've created a template. I've enabled some fields to, to basically to be filled out as you need to, but I also added a layout here. And so had I submitted that image earlier, we could have used this one.
Cool.
Which is actually two templates under one, sort of one container, if you will.
Yeah.
And as this information gets updated, so live webinar on rda.com. I think it's rda.com, right? Or core. RDA Corp.
Yeah, rdacorp.com. Yeah, that's fine.
Again, these things get updated in real time with the template. And if I wanted to change these images, so if I wanted to update the speaker information or change the image of that particular speaker, I could do so. If we wanted to go back to that other non-speaker image, again, as a template designer, you have the ability to determine what is able to change within the application. So this logo image may not be changeable, even though it's here, but you'll notice that the event image is changeable. And so I'm leveraging assets that are from the asset repository of Content Hub to say, you know what, this is part of our women-led events. So why don't we highlight women in this? Or if I want to give people the ability to upload their own images, I could do so here as well. And so you'll see here, this is one of my favorite images ever. It's a coworker's puppy, probably out of brand guidelines. But again, this comes back to the idea of the permissions that you as a template designer can give to those end users and what they can customize. They can save this. They can download this as a low-res or a high-res PDF or an image. And if you work with printing companies, again, you can have more complex sort of integrations that take place where you can export the InDesign markup file and things like that.
That is so cool. Thank you so much, Caridad. So we are up on time, and I would just quickly like to, make sure that everyone knows about our upcoming Sitecore Summit series. Here is a reading list if you guys want to learn more about Content Hub and what Content Hub can do for you. And then for those of you who haven't gotten enough of Caridad and this demo, we have a free and customized Content Hub demo. So we can go deeper into the areas that we haven't covered today, and deeper even in the areas that we have covered today, because trust me, we've only touched the surface on these areas. So in this session, we'll go over, why do you need a Content Hub, a customized demo for you, and help you make the case for a Content Hub. And then finally, for all of you guys, the Sitecore Summit series is an ongoing series, happens every month. And the topic for next month is Composable DXP, which is Sitecore's new model with their recent acquisitions. And we're super excited to chat with you further on this. And Dylan Young will be joining us, who is our newest Director of Engineering at RDA. We're super excited to have him on board and very excited to talk about Composable DXP with Dylan next month. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Caridad, for joining us and giving us a great demo of Content Hub.
Thank you, Jaina. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you, RDA.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.